So, good afternoon. So, in the last class, we were discussing about HTML forms. Let us continue with the tags related to HTML forms. So, in the last class, I was discussing about HTML form. So, where we discussed a simple example of a form structure where we actually have various tags we discussed. One is form tag. Form is created by using form tag, and form widgets can be created by using different tags. One of the tags is input tag, is used to create a text box for a password box. To create a password and text box, we use input. Apart from that, option list can be selected by using option select tag and option tag. So submit button can also be indicated by using submit by using input tag with the type is equal to submit. So next is, so here one more important thing which I discussed was field set. So field set is actually a tag that draws some border, but before that, field set is used to group the related elements together. In a form, there may be related elements. For example, assume there is a information regarding a student is to be gathered. So name of a student, it may ask, name is one field in the form, one element. So then it may ask for USN, then it may ask for email, then it may ask for the date of birth, like this. So that means they are all related elements. Name is related to USN, same USN is related to a date of birth, and date of birth is also related to the sex. So all these elements are related together. How do you group the elements together, related elements in a form together? So to group the related elements together, we use actually the field set tag. So here in this case, so you people should note that the title and country and submit, all of them are related items. You are entering the title and country and submitting it. So title, country and submit, a text box, a option list and submit button, all are related items or related elements of the form. That is the reason why all of them comes under field set. So if you are not sure, so let me give you one more example. So here itself is a simple example for field set. If you see field set, so we have in field set we have created a website, a form, HTML form, which will ask you for first name, last name, so then email ID, birthday, date and submit button. They are all information related to a person. First name and last name is related. Similarly, email ID, birthday, all these things and submit button. Once you enter, you submit it. So it is a related element. So this is what the code looks like. So if you take this code, definitely the first name is a text box, last name is a text box, email is again a text box, then birthday, a date field is there. We will see how to create a date field. Okay, here same input tag is used to create date, where input type is equal to, instead of text we have given date. So that's why the date field in DDMMYY in this date, month and year format it is there. So now all of them is encircled by a border here. Why? It is the field set tag that groups all the related elements and draws a border outside these related elements. So that is the function of field set. So field set has two actually functions, which I told you is field set tag is used to group related elements in a form. Okay, that is the first thing. So it is used to the tag is used to group related elements in a form, and the second thing is field set tag draws a box around the related elements. So as we have seen here, so there is a box around the related elements. So that is what the function of field set element. So okay, next coming for this. So how forms interact with servers. The next important thing is how the forms interact with the servers. So in the last class, I asked you a question, what are the different HTTP methods? I don't know how many of you searched for it and found it out. What are the 5 HTTP methods? So can anyone tell me? Why? You can unmute and you can answer. What are the 5 HTTP methods?
Get, post, put, delete, patch.
So okay, at least we told it is get is one method. So get, put, beauty put, post, so next is yet, and the last method is delete. So you might have studied these 5 methods in networking when we discussed the HTTP protocols. So one is get method, the other one is put, post, add and delete. They have their purpose. So between the communication between the client and server, web client, that is your browser and your server. So these are the 5 methods that will be used under different situations. So I won't be going to all those methods, but in this actually interaction with the server, so we will be discussing about get and post methods. So they are actually used for the same purpose, but the way a client communicates with the server differs in get and post, where the information is being placed. So we will discuss what is the difference between get and post methods. So whereas we won't discuss put, add and delete, you might have studied already in networking. So anyway, these are the 5 HTTP methods. So here methods are used between the communication between client and server, which uses HTTP protocol. That means HTTP protocol has these 5 methods that is used for communication between a web client and a web server. So now let us continue with this. So now, what is the first thing? As a user, you sit on a computer, you want to access a form. So see, the first thing, a user is sitting here. So what he does is he makes a request. So request step is one is request. What does it say? He may ask you a request. So let me take a same example here, what is given there, or I may take a different example. For example, you got your VTU results. How do you see it? So the point here is you make a request. There is a link in your VTU website results. You click on results. So that means this is the first step where you are making a request to the web server, which is the VTU website's web server. So what is the second thing? So naturally the server will return that means it will return a HTML document that contains a form. For example, the VTU, when you click on result, it will return a form where some of the element may be USN and another element may be CAPTCHA. It may ask for you CAPTCHA, where you will enter a number that you see in the picture towards your left or right. The CAPTCHA is used to prove that you are a human. It is not an automated script, because someone can develop an automated script that will run automatically, which will lead to an attack like denial of service attack. So to prevent automated script, we actually use CAPTCHA. So that is there in VTU site also. You enter the USN in a box, text box, then you may enter a CAPTCHA and you may finally press submit button. So that means, so the second step is your VTU resides that form to see the result. So what as a user you do? User in the third step will fill the form. Here some title and country is there in your VTU site. What you do? You enter your USN followed by CAPTCHA and press submit button. So what happens at that time? This information that you have entered is retrieved and this request is sent to the web server. The user, that means your request means you are telling the web server to execute some program based on the data that you entered in the form. That means this data should be sent and requested to the web server to use this data and execute a program. So in this case, in your VTU site, so you are sending your USN and telling the VTU's web server to search for this USN in the result table. So VTU website might have a database which maintains a table where your result is there, and based on your primary key, which is USN, it will match one of the entries in the table. So in the table, it will get all your subject results. Then it will do that. It will format it in HTML format and send it back to you. So the point here is, what is the fifth step? So once you get the data, the web server and a request, your server should search in the table. So how do you search for a USN in a table? You need a program. Like it may be a PHP program, it may be a PHP program which will connect to the database, maybe MySQL or Oracle, whichever database it is. Search for a USN in the table, then matching entries will be returned. So who does that job? A scripting, a server-side scripting language, maybe PHP, Python or any language can be used. So PHP example is given here. So this is the fifth important step. And of course, the sixth step is not given here. But what happens in sixth step? Once you get your USN matches with one of the entries, all your results are fetched from the table. Then it will format it. For example, your result may be in VTU, may be in a form of table. The results that it fetched from the database or MySQL database, it may convert to HTML table, and that HTML table is sent to you, and the browser in the sixth step will display it. And you see the result in a form of table. So this is what the various steps that takes place or how a client interact with the server using forms. So the first step is user requesting a form. Second thing is browser will server will send a HTML form. Then third step, user will fill the entry, all the data into the form and submit. So once you submit, the web client, your browser will request to the server. It will also, apart from requesting, in this case, what does it request? It is requesting you execute some PHP like result.php to the server. And what is the data? The data is your USN that you have entered. So that is the fourth step, is a request along with the data that user has entered. So fifth step is, so a web server may execute a server-side scripting language, scripting program, maybe a PHP, Python, Perl, whatever programming are, PHP, Python, Perl, they are all examples for server-side scripting languages. Okay, that's what done, and of course in the sixth step, so web server will build the HTML page containing the result from your database and finally sends that result HTML page to the client. The browser or client will display that result. So this is how interaction between a client and server with respect to form. So okay, with that I think everyone understood how forms interact with servers. So next is query strings. So I don't know what actually you are done many times. I don't know whether we have visited many sites, but I don't know how many of you have viewed a URL window. It's okay. You might not have heard of it. See, everyone might have seen a browser. So what you see here, in this case, I can say that, so this is the window that you see here is URL window. the window where you enter the URL like vtu.ac.in or facebook.com, whatever you enter, that is URL window. So now the point here is in the URL window will enter it. So you need to understand what is a query string. You need to understand the next time when you visit a website, try to see the URL window. So now what is the first thing? This is a form, simple form which contains title, country and submit button. So now we have seen the code for title. How do you get the text box? You use input type is equal to text, name is equal to title. Name is equal to title means here the variable where the text box value entered by the user will be stored, that variable we have given it as title. So next for country, what we have done is here title as what? Here country is an option list where you are given select name is equal to where. So that means based on which country you select, where is a variable that will store that value. So now you have entered so title as Central Park, country as United States and press submit. But once you press submit, how this data is sent? The data is sent in this fashion. See here, what is the name of the variable here? Name of the variable is title and what is the value you have entered? Central Park. So title is equal to Central Park. This is what this text box will give you. Then you are having the another operator, so it is separated by ampersand operator, and if there are multiple elements in a form, each element is separated from the other element by using one symbol which is a ampersand symbol. Okay. Next, what is this where? Where is the name of the variable? So where is equal to, you have entered United States here, so is equal to United States. So this is the information that will be passed from your browser or a web client to the server when you press submit button. And what is this actually string that you are seeing is referred as. So this string is actually referred as a query string. So query, who makes a query? A client makes a query with the server. So it may tell you execute some PHP program for which the input is this data. So how do you give the input? So you give the input by using a query string. So query string is what you are seeing. Title is equal to Central Park. And note the point that you may again wonder, Central and Park is there, between them there is a space is there. So we actually use plus operator, then park, then next element is country. So that's why and will be there. And what is the name for the country here? In the variable we have given is where. So that is the reason where is equal to United States. So that means you are passing the Central Park value to the title variable and United States again between United and States space. So it is plus, you are concatenating it and sending this. So this is known as query string, and this query strings is many times visible here in the URL window. Okay, here it's not shown, but it will be visible, or it may not be visible based on which method you use. Whether you actually use get method or post method, based on that, query string may be visible in the URL window. If it is not visible in the URL window, then it can be present in the HTTP header that is being sent between the client and server. So hope you understood what is a query string. So next let's go and see here again URL encoding, special symbols are there. So that should be there. For example, this is symbol artist Pablo Jose Picasso, some name is entered, the artist name, and you press submit. But how this Pablo Jose Picasso is being sent, so how spaces and the accented ER URL encoded in red. See the point is special characters are used. So how spaces, some accented, okay. So Jose, this may be an Italian word, so you have represented using accented E, Jose, accented E is there, that's why accented E are encoded in red. So if you note it, Pablo and Jose, between them there is a space, so that is indicated by plus. Then Jose, E is accented E, so which is given percentage E9. So you may wonder what is this percentage E9. So percentage E9. What is that percentage E9? See, percentage always given encoding, like it may give you an ASCII value of that character. So here percentage gives by the encoding you are using. So for example, you may have a email, okay, you may have a form where you may have an email and a text box may be there. So if you enter some ABC at from yahoo.com, so you people should note that. So you are not only passing alphabets, you are also passing special characters like at symbol, okay, and there is a dot, okay. All other are alphabets A, B, C, at and dot. So how do you give that? In encoding, usually it contains percentage and ASCII value of it. Assume at symbol as some ASCII value, some 35, I'm not sure, but simply I'm just giving percentage 35 you may get, or here dot may have some ASCII value, it may have percentage, followed by the ASCII value maybe 2B for example. The number is in hexadecimal, okay? That's why a B is also a valid number, 2B may be there. So what does it mean? The encoding that we are using, since the special characters at and dot are should be encoded. So hope you understood. So URL encoding uses special symbols like plus is used for spaces and other than alphabets. So what they will be using? So they will be using some encoding which uses the ASCII value. So ASCII value will be preceded by the percentage symbol. So this is how the URL are encoded in a query string where the browser sends this query string to the server. So next, form element. Now we discuss forms, but we need to discuss in a form there is an action. Okay, two essential features of any form is action and method attributes. Okay, so two important features of any form is action, the other one is method. So what is this action and method attributes? So here note that action and method are two attributes. The action, because where do you use action? So within a tag we use these attributes. So that's why action and method are two attributes. So what does the action attribute specify? The action attribute specify the URL of the server side resource that will process the form data. So that means the action will tell you, so URL of the server side resource that will process the form data. So be clear here, if you have seen the previous form, so let me show you here. If you have seen here action, so you can see action process.php. So what is action? It's an attribute. In which form? In form. So what does it say? It is telling that go to document root. In document root, go and execute the program process.php, which is a PHP program. Okay. So this is what actually action field is. So action field will tell you what? It specifies the URL. Okay, for example, in the form we may give something like this. Okay, so form may be there. Here you may give something like action. Not necessary, always it should be simply I may say. So you go to directory pqr, then slash some res dot php, something I will write. So what does it say? That means when you submit this form, the action is tell the server to execute result.php, res.php. Where it is in the pqr directory. So I am giving the URL or complete resource. So not necessary that I should do it. So for example, I may also give an action. Action can be not necessary like this. I can also give an action. I may say, go to google.com, where I may give an URL, go to google.com, and I may say execute some dash res.php or some other program maybe. So what does it say? That means it says that when you submit the form, go to this URL where you execute a program result.php or some programs. Okay. So that's what your action specifies the URL of server side resource that will process the form data. When I say server side resource, it can be any program written using a scripting language, which may be PHP, Perl, Python, or it can be Ruby. Ruby is another server-side scripting language. It can be any server-side scripting language program written in server scripting. So when you say URL, it can be a relative path or an absolute. If it is in the current server directory, you can give an absolute path. But assume that you are actually giving a PHP or some program is in some other website, then complete URL like which domain, which path, and which is the program that should be executed should be specified. Okay. So you understood what is the action attribute. Action attribute is an important attribute for form tag. The second is method attribute. So the method attribute clearly will tell you how the query string data will be transmitted from the browser to get, from the browser to the server. So that means, so a web client will transfer the data to the web server. So here the data from web client, which data you may ask? I will write the data. Which data? The user entered form data. Whatever the data entered in the form by the user, this data. So anyway, form data is being transferred from client to server. So how do you do that? So this form data can be transferred from the client to the server either by using get method or by using post method. So post method. So that's what. So we can use get method or post method to transfer the string data, query string data. I told you what is a query string. So name of the variable is equal to the value that we are assigning to it, which is more than one, for more than one form elements. Such a string we call it as query string. How do you transfer the query string data, which is your form data, from client to server? That can be done by using two methods, get and post. Okay. So method, that means if you say method is equal to get, so I can write something like this: method is equal to. So get, what does it say? If method is equal to get, it says that to transfer the form data, use get method. If you give method is equal to post, you use post method to transfer data from client to server. Okay. So now let us see what is the difference between this get and post method. It's quite simple. So this diagram will clearly show you the difference between get method and post method. Okay. So the get method and post method. What is this get and form? For example, assume this is a form. So where you enter title and country. So now what happens? When you press the submit button, so this is in a form which contains form. What is the method? Method is equal to get. Action is what? So tell the server to execute a program known as process.php, which is a PHP program. But how this information, United States and Central Park and United States, which are part of title and country, is sent? See here, there is a query string. That means when you see in the URL, this is visible. It will say get. That means the browser is telling the server, you should use the HTTP method get and telling that execute the program process.php. The slash actually indicates the path that clearly tells that it is relative to the document root. Into document root directory, process.php will be there. Then question mark. The question mark symbol will separate the program from its parameters. You should execute process.php with what data? The data is what you entered here in query string format. So title is equal to central part plus, because there is a space, then and to separate this element we use and, then where is equal to united space means plus states. And then the last part is also important. The last part will tell you the protocol. That means client is telling the server, I am using protocol HTTP. The version is 1.1. You people should note that HTTP has two versions. Okay, it has two versions. One is 1.0. Okay, the other one is 1.1. So two versions are there. So there is a major difference between 1.0 and 1.1. So the point here is, you may wonder what is the version. See, it is possible that a client may use version 1.0 and server may use 1.1. So when client communicate with the server or server sends some information with the client, client is using a older version, so this information may not be so understandable. So the client may not understand the information being sent because client or browser using a older version. So that is the reason there should be a negotiation between a client and server. Always client and server should communicate with the same protocol. If the protocol version changes, the communication fails. You people should note that a protocol is a set of rules governing the entities, okay, the communication entities. So here client uses a old protocol, server uses a new protocol. If server sends some information in a newer protocol, client may not understand. So that is the reason there should be an agreement. So the point here is client is telling, so I am using get method, execute the program process.php for which the parameter is title is Central Park and where is United States. So I am using HTTP 1.1. Okay. So based on that, the server also will invoke the protocol HTTP which is 1.1. Of course, if server is older one, it is using older protocol, then actually server may send the client that no, I can't understand 1.1. Let us use 1.0. So that is also possible. Okay, that is also possible. So finally, after negotiation, client and server will agree upon it. So usually, the lower the protocol will be agreed. That means if two entities, client and server, has two different versions, which is the lowest version, that will be the version that will be usually negotiated. Because higher protocol 1.1 can understand 1.0, but a lower protocol 1.0 can't understand 1.1. What if a client doesn't understand 1.1? So client or browser should be updated to a newer version. That is not possible. So that is not possible while you are making a request. So that is the reason in negotiation. So if this is 1.0 and 1.1, usually this will be accepted. Okay. So negotiation will take place. Now we understood what is a query string. So now note that you haven't noticed it. This is the query that will be present in this. It does not show here. When you press submit, immediately if you notice after submit, okay, so you people enter the same program, okay, same program given here. So and press submit and watch the URL window. Watch the URL window, you will usually get this information. So that means there is some problem. You haven't noticed it, but many times when you visit websites, you will see all the query string in a URL window, which is not a good thing because any person can come to know, so server should execute this program with this So you are leaking the information what client is requesting to the server. All these things is visible in the URL. So when you pass this to somewhere on the internet, someone can capture this and says that, so what is the structure of the table, which is the name of the PHP program, everything can be known. So that is the reason get method as a drawback. So if you don't mind your query can be displayed in URL, it doesn't matter because this will tell you a client, I am a user sitting at a client, I can tell in the server, a website server, so there is a program process.php and it has a definitely some entries like title and where. Okay, so this gives you some data structure as well as the program that is being used in the server side. Okay, that is the drawback of get method. Your data will be sent as a query string and it will be displayed in the URL window. So now the second method is post method. So form method is equal to post, again same thing, action is equal to process.php. In your form, instead of get, you replace with post. And same form, when you press submit, you don't see anything in the URL window, but the information is sent like this in HTTP header. That is the basic difference. So in HTTP header, okay, the information is being sent where you get post process.php HTTP point for same thing. So it's a method dash post execute the process.php for which the protocol is HTTP 1.1 and of course date and time will be chosen when the submit button is pressed. At that time, submitting time, what is the date and time. Then host, who are you contacting, what is the server site. Server site is something mysite.com, whatever site name is there. Then user agent means your user agent is your browser, which is a web client, which says that I am using Mozilla browser, which is 4.0. This is how every server will come to know which browser and which operating system is actually contacting the server. Okay, your user agent, the browser itself is telling that I am user agent Mozilla 4.0. That means browser is telling which version, which browser. If you are using Internet Explorer, it may say Internet Explorer 9. If you are using Chrome version 24, like that. So this is sent and content length. So what is the content length? You may wonder what is the content here. See this. This is the content means actual data that you are being sent. Okay, the actual data that you are being sent. Okay, that is totally if you go and count it, the total number of characters is 47. You can go and count it. Total number of, that's what, because content length is equal to 47, that is sent along this. See, all these are, when you have discussed in networking, HTTP protocol, you might have seen HTTP request headers and HTTP response header. So right now, client is requesting the server, that means your browser is sending through the request HTTP header. So why this content length is specified? Because you transform this information over the network or your internet, which is unreliable, which is not reliable. Some characters may be dispatched. I will send 47 characters, but only 40 characters will be reached destination. One packet which contains 7 characters is lost. How can the receiver know whether all the characters has arrived or not? So that is the reason HTTP header provides content length field. So sender will send some characters. What is the length? It will set 47. So when the receiver gets this header information, receiver will also see the number of characters in the data in the query string. If it is not equal to 47, it may reject it. Okay, and server and again sender should retransmit it. So now you understood. So the difference between post and this is the query string in a get method, how information is sent. So the information is sent in URL. So is sent, okay, and it is displayed as URL in the browser. So when you use post method, your information is not shown in the browser URL. It is sent in HTTP header. Okay, so that's the main difference. The query string will be displayed if you are using HTTP, using GET method. If you are using POST method, your query string is never displayed in a URL window, and your information is sent in the HTTP header. Okay, HTTP header. So this is the important point. You people should note it. One more last thing before I say it is, what is header? You may be wondering. Again, you may be wondering, what is the header? See, in TCP/IP stack, you people should be aware of it. So there is application layer. Okay. So then transport layer is there. So then network or internet layer is there. Then MAC header, MAC layer, medium access control layer, which is a commonly used is Ethernet. IEEE Ethernet 802.5 standard is used. So you people have seen a packet, how a frame will look like. So okay, for example, application will generate some data. That means your browser is an application which generates some data or a payload, but data is sent to transport layer that will add an header, TCP or UDP header, depending on which protocol you are using. Network layer will add an header, which is an IP header, and when it comes to MAC layer, if it is Ethernet, it will give you Ethernet header. So now, so how does it looks like? Very clear. So a packet looks like this. So Ethernet header is there. This is a frame. Then followed by the last layer is IP header. So IP header will be there. So before that will be TCP if it is using TCP, or UDP if it is using UDP. So then your data, what is the data here? Whatever data request and response between a browser and a server, your data. In this case, the data is your query string. Okay, the query string is the important data, but this is not sent as it is. Always note that this data is divided based on protocol. Here the protocol is there. There will be HTTP header format will be there. So HTTP header plus actual data. So that means data will be in this HTTP header plus data. So that's what I was speaking about HTTP header. So that means immediately after TCP or UDP header, the data part not just contains data, but also it contains the application header, application protocol header. So it is an application protocols. How transport layer will have a header, how a network layer will have an IP header, how a MAC layer will have a header like Ethernet frame. So an application protocol will also have an header. An application protocol will have which is the application protocol used here? HTTP. So it will be an HTTP header. Keep that in mind. So you usually think that application layer just contain an application, just contain a data generated by the application. That's not the case. Application layer generates the data. So the application protocol will add an header to it. So that's why if you say payload or data, it contains a respective application layer protocol header and data. Okay. So you may ask, what if instead of web I am sending a mail? So mail uses SMTP protocol. So the point is the SMTP header along with the mail contents will be part of the payload. if the mail protocol, if the application protocol is email. Okay, so that's what data is not just the data, it also contains application header. So if the query string is in application header, so that is done by post method, whereas the query string is sent in a URL as it is and it is visible. So this process is actually done by what? Get method. Okay. So that is the difference between post. You will clearly get that. So in the coming slide, that will be. So this is the advantages and disadvantages. You can read and clearly understand it. So data can be clearly seen in the address bar. So what is this method? So this is the first one is related to the get method. So in a get method, data is clearly seen in the address bar. So address bar means your URL, uniform resource locator bar or window. Okay. Data can be clearly seen. That means sometimes you want to set an information where you don't want your data to be visible in a URL. So then you should not use get. Then data remains in browser history and cache. Keep that in mind. Important thing. See, all of the data that you send, you might not be erasing your history. By default, you have set to store the history. So whatever assume I will enter my details. So for example, I am entering a form. I am just filling. Okay, I am doing some e-commerce. So I am buying something, but I am using some credit card information. So credit card information, I may enter my credit card number along with CVV, some secret information at the back of your credit card is CVV. That number I will write, enter it. So I will submit that the e-commerce will go out. Someone will come to my computer, open my browser and see the history. In the history, my credit card number along with the CVV will be stored there. So that means data will be there in the browser history, or you assume a user might have deleted a browser history, it might be also in browser cache. So this is the drawback of get method. One is your data is clearly seen in address bar. Some person standing behind you may see the URL, all the data there, or else browser history and cache, your data will be there. Then data can be bookmarked, and someone know that bookmarking. When you visit web pages, you make bookmark. I don't know how many of you know about bookmarking. See, visit a website. What you are seeing here right now, this is a URL. I want to save this. Tomorrow I want to visit this same page of W3 schools. So I can see here, click on it. Bookmark this page. When I bookmark this page, the page itself will contain so many fields, not only W3 schools, it says go to tax, then try it ASP, file name is equal to try HTML field set. So see here, all this information which is a query string information will be saved in the browser history. In the bookmark information, this information will be there. So that is the point you people should understand. So data can be bookmarked, limit on number of characters in the form data written. So this is the last important. That means what is the maximum amount, what is the maximum length of URL? URL. In your URL, you may ask what is URL? This URL, what is the total number of characters that you can send? There is a limit on the amount of URL. What if I want to send 100 elements are there, 1, 2, 3, 4, but there are 100 elements. So the query string becomes long, and at that time the URL becomes long. Then so many characters is not supported in URL, so you can't use get method. So you can't use get method when the number of elements in your form is more. So these are the four. One is there is no security, address can be, data can be seen clearly, and anyone can retrieve it from browser history and cache, and data can also be bookmarked, and when the number of elements in a form is more, the URL becomes long. There is a number of characters in a URL is limit. You find out what is the number of characters. You can have in a URL, there is a limit, I think it is 255 or some characters. You can't have more than so many characters. So when you have a large form, your data is long and your query string becomes long. So, but your URL puts a restriction on that, so you can't use it. So this is the last but not the least but important point to note. So these are some of the limitations or drawbacks or disadvantages of GET method. But if you are using POST method, data can contain binary data. This is another information. In a query string, so you can't have a binary data, but in POST method, you are sending in a HTTP header, you can also contain binary data, zeros and ones. Data is hidden from user, data is hidden why? Because the data is in HTTP header, not in the URL, so it is hidden from the user. Submitted data is not stored in cache, history or bookmarks. When you submit it, so directly the data is sent through HTTP header to the web server. Nowhere in your browser it is stored in history or cache or bookmark. Okay, so you people should note that every browser will have its own folder or a files for storing the cache, history and bookmark information. If you are using Firefox, it has its own directory where history, all the data user entered and bookmarks are stored. But if you use POST method, so that is not done. So that means, to say from a security perspective, it is always better to use POST method. So POST method is a better way to use for HTTP forms. When you use forms, you always use a method which is POST instead of GET. Okay, if you are developing a small form, okay, and you don't bother about the confidentiality of this information, let it be data be visible. So at that time you can use the GET method, or otherwise if it's a long form and if a data here should be confidential, no one should, neither the browser should not store it in history or cache, use POST method. So that means when you design a HTML form, you should make sure that it uses POST method instead of GET method. Okay, so that is the point I need to say. So there are many things, but I will conclude at this point. There are many form control elements which we will discuss in the next class. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can ask. Any doubts? Before let me take the attendance. Any doubt on one more important thing? I will put it. So I have calculated the attendance for the month of September. Okay. Clearly, let me open that file. Attendance for month of September and percentage. Many students doesn't have attendance less than 75%. So see here, this is for the month of September. I have calculated, for example, NEA. So total number of class I have taken. Total number of class I have taken in the month of September is 14 classes. So 13 out of 14. NEA means 83. So NEA Allah 93. So Netravati 0%, not attended any class. Like that I have calculated. I will put this PDF either in Google Teams folder, create it into PDF. You can see your attendance. Okay, this is excluding today's class. So up to yesterday, 30th September, from 1st September to 30th September, total 14 classes. Of course, on the first also I took a class, but I couldn't record the attendance on that day. So I haven't calculated the attendance on that day. So So I don't know. I think I should share the screen. So this is the attendance which I have calculated for the September month. Okay. So here don't bother. You won't be able to see. Don't bother. I will put this PDF or convert to PDF and put it in your Google Teams. In your files, Google Teams files, you can go and check your attendance. Okay. So okay. So no doubts. So okay. Then I will conclude. Okay. Thank you.